Hello. Okay, it's recording. 11:40 a.m. 6/20/2013. Woohoo! Today I turn 28. Let's write this down. So today I turn this number. I wanted to talk about something really fun. Um, I don't know how many people would connect with this or understand this, but let's imagine. Let's use our sense of imagine, our ability to imagine. Or maybe some people might be in this situation. They might understand it. Suppose you come home. You have a wife. You're married. A couple of years, whatever. You have kids. You come home. Um, well, let's back up a little bit. I want to talk about what I think is very interesting. Guys versus girls. I guess that will be the title of this. This is very interesting. Uh, so boys, guys out there, uh, women can surpass you very easily today, and they will because they have the ability to micromanage and manage different things at the exact same time. Whereas guys, I have to do this, and then 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 I have to do this. Whereas what my just purely based on my observations and just from living. Um, those six things that I just did from a guy's perspective. The girls, they could do all six of them at the exact same time. So when you think about what some people worry, that there's this traditional sense of family that's eroding in America or anywhere in the world where it was a pleasant experience or is a very nice environment for the little person to grow up in, where you had a permanent person like a woman, a mother, who was at home, keeping the home tidy and making sure everybody was well fed and managing the finances of the home and raising the children. Uh, that women can still do all that, plus have a career, plus have a vocation, plus have etc. Whereas guys, it's oh, you have to do everything and then you collapse. So going forward, it's very important that we, as a male race, don't lose our everything. They're going to put us into a labor camp and work us to death. Okay, so back to the situation. So you're a guy. You come home. You're already beat up from whatever, from life, from whatever. Uh, and your wife comes at you, starts yelling at you, starts arguing with you. You don't know why. Just take it. At some point, it clicks in your head. 3 years ago, you did something wrong. 3 years ago, because they can remember everything. They'll remember everything, and then they'll find a way to get back at you. And using their natural ability of language, I believe girls, gals, women, due to how the history of man and woman, uh, you know, their skill of language is much, much, much superior. Naturally, it's all in the head. Like psychologically, it's when you look inside your head very, very deep, there's a lot of secrets there. So So you're already beat up and you take all that, and at some point, she destroys you, and she tells you, you know what, you're not sleeping in the bedroom tonight, you're going to the couch. You're sleeping in the couch. You go to the couch. All right. Now think about that from a perspective of, let's say you have three wives, and something like that were to happen. All right. So your first wife isn't sleeping in the bedroom by herself because you effed up uh, 3 years ago. Your second wife is sleeping on the couch because you have a second wife and she's sleeping there. Like, okay, and you have a garage that you before maybe had some space or some things you can do there. Now your third wife is living in the garage. All right, think to yourself, you know what? I got a car. I'll go sleep in the car. No, that's not going to work too well either, because you have kids and they took the car to go study at the library. You know, it's funny that a lot of parents. I don't know. I don't really have any parents who watch, but a lot of parents still fall for that, or not if they still fall for it. But for my, and, um, that was a good excuse that some girls and some guys used. They tell their parents they're going to the library, and before you know it, they're uh, doing stuff. Um, so I wanted to say that because I kind of need to work on it a little bit. I have there's this presentation I want to do to my to something, um, and I kind of wanted to use that what I just said as an opening, as an opening to the presentation, um, because the actual presentation is very, very, very provocative. Well, people, I guess, currently watching this would understand that if you Google Ukraine women protesters, you have very, very beautiful women who protest topless, and it's very provocative. It's very uh, they make a because of the provocative nature of it. They make a statement, and a lot of people are like, well, some people are like, yeah, and some people are, mm-hmm. So, um, so that's a peaceful way, a non-violent way for not only for people to express themselves, but to actually protest for positive change, and without using weapons, without using hate, or without using violence, which very often today we come across, and especially if one dwells into all the madness. There's a lot of it. Um, but Buddhism is very interesting. If, we all come from different faiths, we have different backgrounds, everybody comes from different parts of the world, and we all commingle and attempt to make sense of everybody, make sense of it all. Um, I, First, Buddhism has four noble truths. First one is really simple. There is pain and there is suffering in life. The moment you're born into this earth, there is pain and suffering. And a lot of faiths and a lot of various religions, they also too attempt to teach that to whoever wants to participate. Um, my problem with certain religions and certain faiths is when they do not, um, they don't give you the choice. They kind of, you have to go this way or else. Or there's a lot of danger in that. That's why I really think if this rule could be very helpful. And the YouTube changed everything up. I had this template set up, so now when I go to my channel, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how to fix it. I don't have the time to look into it. But the rule is um, never let anybody tell you how to think and how to feel. That's natural. That's your own natural way of. It's just it is what it is what it is. You're born with these natural abilities as a human being. That's one of the things that separates you from a dog or from a cat or from whatever. You have a natural, self-evident way of, of yourself. And of course, there are various philosophies that exist um, that drive from that for the purpose and for the purpose only to solidify and to strengthen and to reinforce what those natural things that you have, those natural senses that you have, those natural ways of looking at the world and looking at yourself and looking at other people. Uh, as you know, so much stuff comes at you, so you have to just go away, go away. so, um, so yeah, 28, whatever that means. Uh, Last year, my birthday was also on the 20th of month of the June, but I had a very bad summer, I guess, in retrospect. I wasn't feeling too positive about myself. I wasn't feeling very much anything. It's kind of like, ugh. So, um, I had this idea. So if anybody's in school next year, if you go to school, it's a very interesting idea. It could be started as maybe 6th grade, 4th grade. In the high school, it might be difficult to do something like this because of the nature of it, and everybody's going to be, well, actually, it might actually work. But the idea is um, a teacher takes, let's say, a ball, a tennis ball, and writes the word weakness on it, and in a controlled environment, such as a classroom, with a professional teacher and who's going to act as an arbitrator. Uh, an arbitrator is a person who mm, suppose you have person A and then you have person B. This is reversed, okay? So you have person A and a person B, and person A has an argument with person B. An arbitrator, let's say in the case of me being the arbitrator, my role to arbitrate would be to figure out a way where they can no longer have an argument or a disagreement and they could shake hands and both parties are satisfied with the results. It's very common to find that in court. Police officers these days, and there's a proactive approach with, I believe, I hope, in some parts, to have police officers be the arbitrators as opposed to arresting somebody and then throwing them through the system. And it's very expensive, it's not very effective, and you know what? If a police officer can resolve a situation without having to arrest anybody, it's better for everybody. It's better for the police officer, less paperwork. Um, it's just better that way. So the teacher, the professional teacher, would be the arbitrator. In the case of, let me go on with the idea. What would happen is all the students take turns holding this ball that weakness is written on, and they talk about what their weaknesses are. There are things that I'm good at, and there are things that I'm not very good at. And I have my strengths and I have my weaknesses, and every single person has that, whether people want to admit them or not. Every single person has strengths, and every single person has weaknesses, and it's very important for the self-discovery that some people may be interested in, or simply to better yourself and better your life and to better your world around you, to think about things like that and to possibly even promote such beliefs. Um, so everybody takes a turn and they talk about their weaknesses. And by doing that, it teaches everybody in that classroom. Well, the idea is to teach everybody in that classroom that, you know what, we're all different. All of us are very different from one another, but we're all the same, you know? We're people. Uh, so, and then the professional teacher, the arbitrator, what his or her role would be is in the case of the students start to laugh. And I'm like, no, you don't laugh. Hey, this is not funny. Someone's going to laugh at you when it's your turn to get this ball. Um, and the teacher must be very, very, very kind of, must be very um, commanding is the word that I would like to use. Um, because it's important for a teacher in the classroom to have control of the entire classroom. It's a, you know, it's a thing that's being understood on a global level. Um, what do I want to say? Okay, so that's where the arbitration comes in, and that's where the professional teacher could work with the people and maybe differentiate, um, make the difference or make the correction between some of the students who feel that or think that one thing is a weakness, but in reality it's a natural strength, or vice versa, and to give that that thinking experiment, to create that thinking experiment in the brain for people, for the students, for the little people, with the hope and the idea that as they walk through life, so to speak, uh, it's going to be a better world for them from the moment that they were born. So, you know, the world is not perfect, but it's good enough, and little by little progress is made, and in some places it's very, very little progress, and in some places it's bigger progress. In some places there's no progress, unfortunately, and that's where the places where there is a great deal of progress, sorry, I'm not very good at, because there's a reflection, because the camera, I didn't really realize it until just now when I used these two pens here, and I realized that, well, this one is to my right, but on the camera it's to the left, and this one is to my left, but through the camera it's on the right. Optics. Um, so yeah, you know, do what you can with what you have, so to speak. And, but it's interesting to back up a little bit with the Ukraine women protesters. Now you think about the word American, even though you might be in some distant land that has nothing to do with the Republic of the United States of America. But this idea of an American, what is an American? Well, an American is, I guess, there are many ways to look at it. Um, but I mean, in a way, what's the difference between an American and a human being? Maybe an American is just a person you know, who takes the time to help the people around them that need the help, uh, or I don't know, because I don't want to. Basically, an argument could be made from an American perspective to people in America that these Ukraine women protesters, mind you, they're not U.S. persons, they're not U.S. citizens, they're not what some people could, commonly refer to, not some people, the masses, so to speak, might not regard them as American, but what they're doing, the method that they're pursuing, their belief in what they're doing, could resemble that of an American. but they're in Ukraine. And it's really interesting to look at Ukraine's history. I printed out some information from Wikipedia just in case that it's a fear I have going into the future that I hope not. I mean, there's not enough people who want to kind of make a stand and fight for it, um, for the internet to not be touched in any form by the government. Don't touch anything on the internet at all. It's it's very good the way it is right now. Um, so um, so that's why I print out some things just in case. I've been amassing a small library. So, but the history of Ukraine is in the 1400s, I believe, in the 1500s, you had a group of people who referred to themselves as Kazakhs, and they were a semi-democratic, semi-naval, and something else. But it was as if that, and if you look at their way of life, it was as if they were attempting to create their own America. But well, create their own America. This only happened in America. And the colonization period in the earlier, the 1500s, the 1600s, and the 1700s. No, I think it was the 1600s and the 1700s. We had the Declaration of Independence, I believe, was written in 1767. That was when the Great Revolutionary War began. And I know some people can say, well, it wasn't all about liberty, and it wasn't all about this pursuit of happiness. Yes, you had some very greedy people who were also involved, just like how we have today, very, very greedy people who are involved, and that's maybe something that for somebody to figure out, to solve, or maybe that's just a fact of life. Maybe there might be always be some greedy people, but there will always be some decent, good folks out there. Um, you know, uh, and don't. I think it's some people can look at other people and go, man, we're doing everything wrong. Blah 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 blah. People, Americans at least, are people. They don't tell other people what to do, and that's just kind of like an honorary code. But some people are just whatever. Just as long as they don't go kill and steal and hurt people, let them be. Um, okay, 12:04 p.m. I need to do some things. So I'm going to go take a shower. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I had this idea to go to Florida because that's where this company is from. That you know, people contact me and say, how do I get my money back from this company that uses deceptive? It's just very wrong what they do. So I thought about going down there and like figuring out exactly what's going on, compiling, I guess, the complaints that I've been gathering, and maybe go inside an FBI office and submitting it all, and just having them figure it out so people don't have to deal with a company like that because it's very wrong. Somebody brought up an interesting point with that company. If the people who watch understand what I'm talking about. Um, Somebody brought up an interesting thing that they used in their call centers. They use, I guess, juveniles. A juvenile is a person who commits a crime, and because of they're a minor, they're under the age of 18 in the United States of America. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but when you commit a crime and you're under the age of 18, you're considered a juvenile. And somebody brought up a point that the company that uses uses. Oh, somebody brought up the point that this company uses juveniles in their call centers, so they could have some sort of one of those shady um, contracts the with the probation as a result of some shady political contributions, and so well, I was thinking about going over there and resolving that one. And might as well. I might as well just start doing these types of things. Uh, but Florida is very far away, so I'd like to have somebody in my life that I could go there with. But it's so long to drive, and by yourself for 20, 40, 22 hours just driving. It's very difficult. People who do stuff like that, they're real champions. But having done that twice now, 3 times, it's very difficult. So it's very important, when you're in your. I think if I could give some advice to somebody younger, because I turned 28, so if somebody's in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, do as much as you can, because you're going to get tired at some point, and these things are going to become very difficult for you to do. They're going to become very difficult. But I guess it's advice that people told me before, and I said, whatever. And now I'm like, tired. So, um, it's okay. Maybe other people have birthdays today too. So happy birthday if your birthday is today as well.